For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The GB News audience is different, it's unique, because they see through the nonsense.
We want to debate with each other, we want to maybe learn.
We have a chat. That's what we do. We try and have a chat.
They'll watch my programme while they're eating their tea, they'll watch breakfast while they're busy getting their kids ready for school.
We want to hear what matters to you, what is news for you.
And what's brought you out here today?
What are the biggest issues affecting this particular area? The audience are the best thing about GB News. They're friends, they're family. They're people who need to have their voices heard.
They're passionate about the channel, they're passionate about what they believe in.
The one thing about GB News is you get a chance to speak.
Talk to me about why so many people have gathered here today.
Do you want to say something back in return? The GB News audience is what makes GB News special.
It's incredible to see. They shape our programmes, they shape our output, and they shape our channel.
That's what makes us the fearless champion of Britain.
It's 9 p.m, I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight...
The election results last week were tough, and I take responsibility.
Starmer gave the speech he hoped would save his skin, but it didn't land well with the public. And it didn't land well with his own MPs.
Was there anything he could have said today that would have won you over?
Ta-ra, sorry.
As I speak, around 75 Labour MPs have now called for him to go. 5 ministerial aides have also called for him to go. Supposedly, he's currently in the Downing Street bunker. They've ordered the takeaways in, so you know it's going to be a long night. And apparently the Cabinet are going to meet tomorrow and tell him to go. So there we go. Now, look, I'm not sure we're going to get on to talk about anything else, but if we do, we'll discuss this.
Listen, baby. Ain't no mountain high, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough, baby.
Walter Titty, Zach Polanski, is accused of telling more lies about who he really is. Plus...
The fact that you're doing this shouldn't be with GCSE
no sympathy or consideration towards your...
Kids protest their own teachers for being out on strike, and...
My name is Dr. Q Manavanan. I am a transgender Tamil immigrant. My pronouns are they, them.
Should a trans foreigner with no right to stay in Britain be allowed to be a local councillor? On my panel tonight, we have got Daily Express columnist Carol Malone, Reform UK member Sir Jay Berry, and political commentator Benjamin Butterworth. And it's really nice to see one Green Party councillor really embracing all those environmental policies. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Starmer's on the way out. Next.
Good evening. Your top stories from the GB newsroom at 9:02. Sir Keir Starmer is facing the biggest threat to his leadership yet, as more than 70 Labour MPs, including 5 members of government, call for him to resign. Parliamentary Private Secretaries Joe Morris, Tom Rutland, Sally Jameson, Nushaba Khan and Melanie Ward, who is a ministerial aide to Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy, have all said the Prime Minister must go. That's despite him delivering a major speech earlier today aimed at reasserting his authority after Labour's historic losses in the local elections, in which he took responsibility for the results and insisted he wouldn't stand down, vowing to deliver the change the country needs.
Just as I take responsibility for the results, I also take responsibility for delivering the change that we promised. And I take responsibility for not walking away, not plunging our country into chaos as the Tories did time and again, chaos that did lasting damage to this country. A Labour government would never be forgiven for inflicting that on our country again.
President Donald Trump says the ceasefire deal with Iran is on life support as both sides failed to agree on terms. Tehran rejected the US peace proposal, saying it refused to submit to what they've described as Trump's excessive demands. It offered an alternative which includes an immediate end to the war, a halt to the US naval blockade of Iranian ports, and guarantees of no further attacks on Iran. But Donald Trump described the response as garbage. The Foreign Office has issued 12 new sanctions targeting Iranians accused of planning attacks in Britain on behalf of Tehran. They include travel bans and asset freezes on 9 people for allegedly carrying out hostile activity in the UK and elsewhere. A further 3 sanctions were issued on the Zindashti network, which the EU has accused of carrying out kidnappings and assassinations of critics of the Iranian regime. And all passengers have now been evacuated from a cruise ship hit by an outbreak of hantavirus, with their captain hailing their patience during what they called an extremely challenging few weeks. The World Health Organization has confirmed there are now 7 cases of the virus, including a French woman and an American who've been since transferred to their home country. 20 British nationals, a German who is a UK resident, and a Japanese passenger have now been taken to Arrow Park Hospital in Merseyside to isolate. Those are your latest headlines. Let's get back to Patrick.
For all the latest from GB News whilst you're on the go, get the GB News app. Scan the QR code now to download or visit gbnews.com/app.
Good evening. Breaking. The Labour Party. 5 ministerial aides and more than 74 MPs have now called for Sir Keir Starmer to go. And in the last few moments, it's been reported in both the Times and the Daily Mail that Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood and 2 other senior cabinet ministers have told Keir Starmer to set out a resignation timeline. And the rumours are that his full cabinet are going to tell him to go tomorrow morning. He's currently in the Downing Street bunker. They've ordered takeaways, which implies they think it's going to be a very long night. Beer and korma, maybe. He quite likes that combination, doesn't he? But today, Keir Starmer delivered the speech that he hoped would save his job. Let's pick it apart. Here's how it started.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, listen to that applause, eh? He found the only people in Britain willing to clap for him. What you can't see is what's going on behind the camera, and I wouldn't be surprised if it looked like this. Magnificent. I'm joking, of course, but when the applause finally stopped, he addressed the elephant in the room.
Election results last week were tough. Very tough. We lost some brilliant Labour representatives. That hurts. And it should hurt. I get it. I feel it. And I take responsibility.
Well, not enough responsibility to resign, though, Prime Minister. Here's why he thinks he should stay.
And I take responsibility for not walking away, not plunging our country into chaos, as the Tories did time and again, chaos that did lasting damage to this country. A Labour government would never be forgiven for inflicting that on our country again.
Doesn't want to plunge the country into chaos, OK? 65,000 private school kids forced into the state sector, 180,000 more people unemployed compared to when Labour came to power. Labour is scattering illegal immigrants all around the UK in houses of multiple occupancy. Prisoners are being let out by mistake. Apparently there's an article today, one of them who was let out went for a boozy lunch and then fled Britain. I suppose you would, wouldn't you? But anyway, what's really important for Keir Starmer is that he didn't just deliver a speech full of meaningless buzzwords, the kind of guff that you normally see on someone's LinkedIn profile, talking about blue sky thinking or about being a thought leader or, you know, taking this upstream.
And this is a political challenge just as much as it's a policy challenge. And so analysis matters, but argument matters more. Evidence matters. But so too does emotion. Stories beat spreadsheets. People need hope.
Right. Does anyone else think that that speech might have been written by AI? I mean, then he wanted to rattle off some of the things that Labour have apparently done well.
But now, NHS waiting lists are coming down. Child poverty is coming down. Immigration is coming down.
OK, so on NHS waiting list, Labour's been accused of paying NHS trusts millions of quid to make their waiting list look more flattering. On child poverty, we're all paying so that people, often of Pakistani, Bangladeshi, Somali or Nigerian heritage, can claim benefits to have as many kids as they want. On immigration, net migration might be coming down, but that's partially because good people are leaving to go to places like Dubai to get away from Rachel Reeves. And on that note,
we stabilised the economy.
We stabilised the economy. Youth unemployment at 16%. At least 60 new taxes or tax rises have been introduced or announced by the Labour government since they came to power. There's non-existent growth, highest energy bills in the world. This was one of the best bits for me.
There are millions of people in that boat. Millions of people who don't get the dignity, the respect, the chance that they deserve to go as far as their talent and effort should take them. Millions of people held back because the status quo in this country does not work for them. I am fighting for them. We are fighting for them. I am their Prime Minister and this is their government. Because I know whose side I'm on.
Yeah, he says he knows whose side he's on. The problem is, Keir, that we all know whose side you're really on.
2025 شهر الخامس يوم 3 نفرات ابو حسين.
Got to let them reach their full potential, haven't you? There were certain things he said he was going to do.
I can announce that legislation will be brought forward this week to give the government powers, subject to that public interest test, to take full national ownership of British Steel.
Brilliant. The taxpayer stepping in to save the jobs of people whose livelihoods were nearly decimated because of people like Ed Miliband's net zero lunacy. He also wants to bring us closer to the EU.
The last government was defined by breaking our relationship with Europe. This Labour government will be defined by rebuilding our relationship with Europe, by putting Britain at the heart of Europe.
OK, what are we going to get in return, Prime Minister? How are those e-gates getting on at the airports? And then he said this.
They want more grievance politics, more division, more pointing at Britain's problems, looking not for solutions, but for someone to blame. Now, that's fine if it's me, if it's politicians, that's the job. But increasingly, it's not. It's other people in this country. And I don't think that's British. That is not the decency and respect that we are known for. But it's here. That politics is with us now. And you'll see it again on Saturday at a march designed to confront and intimidate this diversity and this diverse country. That is why this Labour government will block far-right agitators from travelling to Britain for that event. Because we will not allow people to come to the UK to threaten our communities and spread hate on our streets.
OK, so he said he will not allow people to come to the UK to spread hate on our streets.
Three asylum seekers have been found guilty of raping a woman on Brighton Beach.
Yeah, apart from those people who worship the Ayatollah or small boat migrants who rape women or the illegal immigrant who tried to break into the Israeli embassy armed with a set of knives. That person, by the way, had come to Britain twice by small boat, so there you go. Keir Starmer has just lost 1,496 seats and lost control of 38 councils at the local elections, mostly to reform. And his response? Nationalise stuff, get closer to the EU and champion diversity. He just doesn't get it, does he? Well, joining us now is GB News senior political commentator. Before we go to my panel, Nigel Nelson. Nigel, thank you very, very much. So, by my count, it's 75 MPs and apparently several cabinet ministers now who have told Keir Starmer to go. You don't think he should?
No, I don't think you should go yet. I think he needs one more chance to see if he can make it work. And the other reason for that is that if there is going to be a leadership contest, you want all the players in the frame at the same time. So that means giving Andy Burnham, as Angela Rayner said this morning, giving Andy Burnham the chance to get back to the Commons. So if there is a leadership election down the road, then he's there for that. But at the moment, the Prime Minister's got the King's speech coming up on Wednesday. We will then see whether what he said today, he can turn those words into action and see if that keeps Labour MPs happy. If it doesn't, you're absolutely right. He's in the last chance saloon at the moment.
So you honestly think he should deliberately let Andy Burnham come back to Parliament so that he can take his job? Basically just cuckold himself to Andy Burnham?
Well, I mean, the only way he's going to have a chance of actually proving he's up to the job is if he gets some time. The way he actually buys time for himself is for Andy Burnham to be back in the Commons. And yes, I do think Andy Burnham should come back. I don't think the Labour Party would dare now stop him coming back.
OK. Some of those problems, though, like I said, Keir Starmer was trying to outline what he thought he'd done well today, you know, the NHS numbers, immigration, etc. When actually, as I just showed there, they're not actually doing that well on any of those things, are they?
Well, I mean, an awful lot of the negative noise has actually drowned out the positive things they've done. So when you look at things like no-fault evictions being banned, fire and rehire going, no more zero-hours contracts, 450,000 children taken out of poverty, those are all positives that seem to have got lost because, as he admits, mistakes have been made and the U-turns have used up political capital.
I am really looking forward, although not for the children's sake, of course, I feel desperately sorry for them, but I'm really looking forward to people realising that if you give irresponsible parents more money, it doesn't actually take children out of poverty. But anyway, Nigel, I believe you're going to be back with us at the top of the next hour. Let's go to my panel now. Daily Express columnist Carol Malone, Reform UK member Sir Jake Berry and political commentator Benjamin Butterworth. Right, OK, so as it currently stands, Keir Starmer is in the bunker in Downing Street at the moment, and it's all coming to a head for him. They've ordered the dominoes in. or the korma and the beer, you know.
The dominoes are falling.
The dominoes are falling, yeah. And, I mean, it's sensational stuff. More than 70 Labour MPs, 5 members of the government, and supposedly now Shabana Mahmood has called for him to go.
It's incredible. You know, we were told today that speech that he made was going to be his make-or-break speech, and that we were going to see this new kick-ass fighting Starmer who was going to tell us his core value. It was going to be entirely different. And it turned out to be like all of his damn squid speeches, written by somebody else and very boring. No real policies, no philosophies, just visions, again, with no clue of how he was going to carry out those visions. So, yes, and so the MPs heard that. You know, what that speech said to me, it in no way reflected what happened last week. What happened in those elections was a visceral scream from the electorate, from people saying to Starmer he had to go. And it appears that he was the only person who didn't hear that, because he's been saying for the last 3 days he's not going to go. Even today he said he's not going to go. And now it looks like he's going to be told in the next 24 hours he's going to have to go. You know, he doesn't change all of the things he talked about in that speech, and you've listed a lot of them. One of the things he said that really made my blood boil. People need hope, he said. Not understanding he's the person who has taken hope away from the British people. He's the one who's made us devoid of hope. You know, he also, what did he say? He said resigning would plunge the country into chaos. He's the one who's plunged the country into chaos. It's not going to happen. It's happened already. And I just, you know, and the other thing that struck me about that speech was when he said he said that there are 4 dangerous opponents at work here, meaning reform. He's still suggesting that reform are racists and far right. So he's insulting everyone who just voted reform and who he wants to win back.
It's stupid, yeah.
He's an idiot.
Well, there you go. Just to remind you of that breaking news, I'll put this to you, Sir Jake. The Times is reporting now that Sir Keir Starmer has been told by Shabana Mahmood and we think 3 other senior cabinet ministers to consider setting out a timeline for his departure from number 10. Apparently, Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary, is, one of at least 4, by my counting, ministers to suggest that he basically needs to go. And apparently Labour MPs are saying that Wes Streeting is preparing to mount his bid for number 10. And I think that's going to be one to watch on tomorrow's newspapers, which I should remind you you'll be getting first on this show. I think we might be hearing something from the Wes Streeting camp on the front of one of those newspapers tomorrow. But, Sir Jake, I mean, look, with respect, you know, you've been here before, your party's been here.
I have.
What will be going on in the bunker right now?
So, I mean, they will be sitting there thinking, is there possibly a way out of this? They will be speaking to the Labour whips, who we understand are phoning round backbench MPs, trying to circle the wagons around Starmer. They will be phoning people up, offering them jobs, offering to do things to help them in their constituency. But it's over. It is absolutely over. He is a dead man walking. In fact, it's just gone up to 76 Labour MPs have publicly called for him to go, including junior ministers. This is done. And that's why you're now seeing senior cabinet people stepping forward. Let's see. Here on GB News, you'll get it at 10 o'clock. Let's see what's on the front page of tomorrow's papers and saying, look, you've got to go. I think the only question that now remains is how quickly he goes. Will there be enough time for Andy Burnham to get into Parliament before this leadership election takes place? I suspect not. But, you know, the Prime Minister has gone, and good riddance to him. And by the way, I might just say, you touched briefly on those local election results. I was out proudly knocking on doors for reform. The message we were telling is vote reform to get rid of Keir Starmer, and just like on so many other issues, Nigel Farage has been spot on by people being brave enough to go out and vote reform. They've probably done for the most unpopular Prime Minister in the history of this country.
What time tomorrow does he resign, Benjamin?
Well, the suggestion is that Cabinet will meet and they will deliver the hard truth that he has to leave. Obviously, you've got those reports tonight that the Home Secretary has said he must set out a timetable. And so you imagine that in Downing Street, they are less trying to save themselves and more trying to confront whether he can save any dignity by tomorrow. In recent days, it's been said that Keir Starmer was in his Willy Wonka phase because it was pure imagination that he was going to stay on as Prime Minister. I think one of the problems with the speech that he delivered today was that he kept talking about the need to win arguments but continued to not make any arguments.
Exactly.
And I think that is that has been the death knell for his supporters, the people who are turning on him at this phase, is because actually what is there to get behind? As people that want a Labour government, that think Labour is the best option for the country, actually he doesn't put out an argument that you can rally behind.
When he said today, when he said in that speech, he said, I get it, I understand why, of course. It was clear that he didn't get it, because the first thing he did at the weekend was he brought back 2 ancient relics from the Blair era.
We're going to talk about that later, but carry on.
We're going to talk like Harman and Gordon Brown. Harman is in charge of women's issues, the woman who can't define what a woman is, and her definition is of girls and women is to include boys and men, which is ridiculous. And Gordon Brown, the bloke who's he's going to be advising on finance. He sold off all our gold and nearly bankrupted us. How stupid is Starmer to bring these people back? He says he's got a cabinet full of talent and a party full of talent. Where is it?
I mean, the thing with Gordon Brown is he's the last Labour... how do you celebrate losing an election so spectacularly, Keir Starmer? I know. I'll bring the last Labour Prime Minister who also lost an election spectacularly in to advise me. I mean, it is just absolutely daft. And Carol talks about how tin-eared he is, not listening to people. If you look at those local election results where Labour did the worst to reform, it was in the areas that voted Brexit, because they haven't been listened to and they haven't got any change. So he comes forward and goes, I know, all you people who voted for Brexit, I know, I'm going to make you happy by going, well, we're just going to rejoin the EU without asking you.
And also, you might also be racist and thick as well, which is, just all the classic things. Look, we've covered a lot of his what his big speech to try and save his political life was today, so we've discussed that. I cannot wait to get on to talk more about what his own MPs have been saying about him, what his own Home Secretary apparently is saying about him as well. I mean, there's some absolute corkers out there today, which I'll be bringing to you. But we'll come to that in a second. By the way, just on the NHS waiting list numbers, because I was, fact-checking the Prime Minister a bit earlier on in that speech. A spokesman for the Department of Health and Social Care has said more than 85% of removals from waiting lists are a result of direct care provided to patients, in addition to delivering 5 million extra appointments and funding GPs to treat more patients in the community. We're also improving the productivity in the NHS. The alternative would have been to continue the broken system we inherited. Right, OK. Coming up, Sir Keir Starmer is in the bunker tonight. The list of Labour MPs calling for the Prime Minister to resign is steadily growing. Just behind that famous black door is currently a man in the bunker of Downing Street with people, like that scene out of Downfall, where they're telling him that actually, they've broken through Berlin. Right, it's over. OK, it's finished. That's what's going on there.
That exact scene with Liz Truss as she came down, so I know what it's like. I actually feel a bit sorry for him, but he is finished.
OK, right, yes, well, look, when we come back, by the way, I mean, it might be more than 75 Labour MPs that have done the business on him, but we're going to be hearing from Rakib Hassan on the Prime Minister's pledge today to ban people that he calls far-right agitators from coming to the UK. Was this a massive misstep that hammered another nail into his political coffin? That's next.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
No, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good evening, welcome back. Well, blinking you miss it tonight because 76 Labour MPs have now called for Sir Keir Starmer to resign. That includes 5 members of the government and apparently potentially 4, as many as 4 cabinet ministers have gone to Downing Street to tell him that the game's up, you need to pack it in. We're going to keep you up to date with all of those numbers. But in the meantime, let's discuss the Prime Minister's speech this morning, because this was supposed to be it, wasn't it? The moment that he came out and saved his premiership. He thought he'd try and seem a bit more human, didn't put a tie on, rolled his sleeves up. I mean, inside number 10 right now, you can imagine what's going on. He's just desperately cutting up half-time oranges, saying, that's real Britain, as he ignores his phone. But one of the things that he really wanted to lean on was diversity and stopping division. Here's a clip.
Because we are not just facing dangerous times, but dangerous opponents, very dangerous opponents. This hurts not just because Labour has done badly, but because if we don't get this right, our country will go down a very dark path.
Well, he didn't stop there, no. He pledged to block those that he called far-right agitators from coming to Britain to participate in, by the way, what is going to be an absolutely massive march that is going to be incredibly diverse, because I know there's plenty of people going, plenty of Iranians, plenty of members of the Jewish community, all of this stuff. But he basically branded everyone who's going to this march as a far-right lunatic. Here he is.
But it's here. That politics is with us now. And you'll see it again on Saturday, at a march designed to confront and intimidate this diversity and this diverse country. That is why this Labour government will block far-right agitators from travelling to Britain for that event.
Right, well, there you go. Let's find out more on this from social policy analyst Rakib Assam. Rakib, thank you very much for joining us this evening. When it came to the things that Starmer was saying about, what a wonderful, diverse country we are, and that he's proud of that, and that actually the biggest threat is these far-right agitators, what do you make of that?
Well, I think that firstly, the speech, to be honest, Patrick, it just didn't cut the mustard, really. This was meant to be a make-or-break speech. The Prime Minister should have been coming out all guns blazing, but if truth be told, you'd rather watch paint dry, but based on what I watched and heard. And I think that, in a way, he's really scraping the barrel. What we need to hear more is how political leaders in this country, how they want to bolster social cohesion in this country. We are in some ways a deeply divided society along ethnic, racial and religious lines. And I think that just to talk about, diversity being our strength, diversity is something that needs to be protected. We need to hear more about mutual obligations. What are our shared values? And ultimately, what is our sense of common purpose? So I think that even in those kind of areas, the Prime Minister didn't hit the right notes. Now, in terms of banning what he calls far-right agitators, I do have to say, I think that the Unite the Kingdom rally, I think there were some very questionable foreign figures who spoke at that event. But saying that, we do have to engage with very legitimate concerns which exist on the right side of the political spectrum. But I think that overall, I think it ultimately shows that the Prime Minister he is scraping the barrel. He is really, he's run out of road, really, if he's talking about these kind of issues in a speech. It was meant to be some kind of reset, but it didn't really hit the right notes at all.
I thought it was a bit of a misstep on multiple different fronts. I mean, the overwhelming majority of the seats that they lost went to Reform, who clearly, I think, would view one of the biggest problems in this country at the moment with things like immigration, with a lack of integration. And then the other lot, really, a lot of them were lost to the Greens, right? And, we've seen some incredibly fruity Green candidates rocking up there, talks of massive sectarianism, campaigns not in English and all of that stuff. We've also seen, of course, the contrast, haven't we, with these, what I would call hate marches taking place, pretty much every single week in London, with some people who've been shouting for jihad and waving Taliban flags there. And Starmer's response today was to talk about the Unite the Kingdom march and to take pride in banning some people from going there. And I think in a roundabout way, trying to label anyone who goes to that march as being basically a fascist.
Well, I mean, I'd also make the point that when it comes to pro-Palestine demonstrations, not every single person attending those marches are anti-Semitic extremist either. I think we just have to make that point that you do have unsavoury elements across a variety of demonstrations, but it simply won't wash the Prime Minister looking to portray parties such as Reform UK and the Green Party as the politics of the extreme. It's not going to work, because I think there's many voters across the country, whether they're on the left or right, they're ultimately deeply frustrated with what I'd consider to be his dour technocratic managerialism. The Prime Minister has no real philosophical foundation. I think that you'd struggle to find anyone who could truly explain what he actually stands for, what are his political beliefs, how does he actually want to improve, how does he want to improve the country? And I think that is his biggest problem, that in a way, in terms of trying to really stick with this sensible centrism, it was somewhat daring that he talked about bringing British Steel under public ownership. Even he said there that would be subject to a public interest test, which is the most Starmerist thing imaginable.
Yes, he did. Sorry, that's so true, though, didn't it? He said, we are going to nationalise British Steel, subject to a public interest inquiry. What does it even mean?
For me, it's just a no-brainer. I would love to see British Steel under public ownership, because I think that strategically that would be of huge benefit to the country. So I think what we're seeing, Patrick, is whether you talk about Reform UK, the Greens, or even the pro-Gaza independents, I think what you see here is that people are craving and they're going for daring alternatives, because they're just deeply frustrated with mainstream politics, and because of that political disaffection, they're looking to entertain other options.
All right, Rakib, look, always a pleasure, mate. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks
Keep us
so
down there, former social policy analyst. I hope she won't mind me doing this, by the way. I've just had a WhatsApp message from our very own Nana Akua, who says that she's going to be going to the Unite the Kingdom rally, so she doesn't find Keir Starmer's comments particularly charming. So there you go. Right, look, it is time now for the Great British Giveaway, and it's a one-way ticket out of number 10. No, it's not. It's loads of cash. Here's how you can be in it to win it.
Are you dreaming of a ton of tax-free cash this summer? We want to make that dream come true with a stunning £76,543 and 21 pence in cash to spend however you like. That is extra cash that you could use to buy those treats you've always wanted, put a new car on the drive, or just relax in the knowledge that this year we've got your back. £76,543 and 21 pence is an incredible amount of money, and it could be be all yours. For a chance to win £76,543.21 in tax-free cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Coming up, Starmageddon.
Some people frustrated with me. I know I have my doubters.
Yep, you certainly do, mate. Chaos in number 10. As is reported, the Prime Minister has been told to resign by his own cabinet tonight. So we're going to be analysing that and get the very latest from a man in the know. What is going on in Downing Street right now? That's next.
Be nice to escape the grey.
Clear skies, here we come.
As clear as our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello. There is plenty of sunny spells across Europe, but also the risk of some showers that could turn thundery and still pleasant in that sunshine. We do have this area of low pressure close to Portugal and Spain, and that is just driving showers as we head through Tuesday. Drier, though, across much of France and across Italy. Still a few showers in the mix, but across the Mediterranean, generally fine and settled and feeling warm. There'll be a mixture of sunny spells elsewhere and temperatures in the low 20s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening, welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. A chilly night to come for England and Wales. Meanwhile, rain will arrive into northwestern areas, making it feel a little bit warmer into tomorrow across the east. So this band of rain clearing to the south coast through the rest of today, but the next band will push into the northwest by tomorrow morning. In between that, clear skies developing quite widely, particularly for more central areas of England and Wales. Eastern areas is where we'll see the coldest temperatures by tomorrow morning. A grass frost is expected quite widely in these areas as temperatures go down as low as -5 or 6 rurally. Further north, there's a risk of a touch of frost, but with cloud and increasing wind speeds, we will see more limited frost, particularly compared to last night and over the weekend. But it will be a chilly and bright start to the day across many southern areas, towns and cities well above freezing by the time we get to 7 o'clock. And as we head further north, there's a cloudier picture with more in the way of rain. Some quite blustery showers will push into the Western Isles, parts of the Highlands and the Northern Isles through much of Tuesday. And with a fresh northwesterly wind, it will feel quite chilly. Across eastern areas through Tuesday, as the wind directions changed from today, it will feel a little bit warmer, but sunshine is going to be relatively limited. We'll see sunny spells, the odd shower here and there. The rain doesn't look particularly heavy through Tuesday, but I think most of us may get caught in the odd shower. So temperatures will climb closer to those mid-teens, a little bit closer to average for the time of year, but it will feel fresher than that in the northwest. This northwesterly wind continues into Wednesday as well. More in the way of showers to come on Wednesday. I think most of us will see some rain, some of that heavy through the day too. Very limited sunshine as well. So another cool day. Further showers to come on Thursday. Then Friday does look a little bit brighter, but still on the cold side for this time of year. Bye-bye.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight. It's really happening, isn't it? It's game over for Keir Starmer. 76 Labour MPs have called for him to resign, and it's apparently anyway, several members of his cabinet, including Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary, have told him to go. We're going to keep you right up to date on what is a fast-moving picture behind that famous black door on Downing Street there. Apparently there's been pizzas ordered, and he's in full bunker mode. But of course he can't go now, can he? Just when we were about to find out what his dad did for a living. You know, I mean, who's going to get custody of Gordon Brown? That's another big question that we need to ask ourselves tonight. But, you know, look, Keir Starmer did his big reset speech. It's fair to say it didn't go down that well with all his MPs.
Was there anything he could have said today that would have won you over?
Ta-ra, sorry.
Yeah, so there you go. Joining us now is political commentator and former newspaper editor. It's Paul Connew. Paul, thank you very, very much. Look, what are you hearing this evening? How much longer do you think he's got left?
Well, I think you're right. I think game over. The only question is when the ref comes the final whistle. Heard that it's close to 80 now who have declared that they want
all right, Paul, sorry
leader,
about this. We've got a problem with your mic, I'm afraid, Paul. Paul, very sorry. Stay where you are. We're going to get it sorted, and I'll come back to you in a second once you've got your microphone sorted out. But it doesn't matter because there's loads going on here, OK? So the latest is that apparently there's about 4 cabinet ministers, including Shabana Mahmood, who have now called for Keir Starmer to go, or at least set out a timeline for him to leave. But one of the interesting things is that who is going to replace him? Well, you know, there's talk that Wes Streeting wants the job. I think everyone knows that Wes Streeting wants the job. You know, is Angela Rayner going to do it? I mean, it doesn't really look like she is. What's her tax affairs looking like at the moment? But we have got a clip here that I'm going to play for you in a second now, because the other person who is on everyone's lips, it's the king in the north, isn't it? It's Andy Burnham. But there is a slight problem for Andy Burnham, which is that he doesn't actually have a seat. Now, here is an absolutely hilarious interview with a Labour MP earlier today about Andy Burnham.
I would be delighted if a seat could be identified for Andy Burnham to stand in a by-election.
He needs a safe seat. Would you give up your seat for him?
No.
No. OK, there you go. So that's kind of socialism in a nutshell, isn't it, really? Look, someone's got to do more for the good of the country. Not me, though. I'm not gonna do it. I know, because you do it. You do more. Anyway, bring back Paul Connew now, who is now sounding absolutely crystal clear. Paul, so you were saying it's a question of when he goes. When do you think that will be?
It's a question of, well, I think this is one of the differences here. People, although there's going to be over 100 by tomorrow midday, once it's him gone, they can't agree on a timeline. For those who want him...
Paul, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry about this. It's not your fault, mate. I don't know why you were cleared to come on. It's a big problem, that. But Paul Connew there, who's a political commentator, you know, really frustrating stuff. But look, just to fill you in on where we are when it comes to Keir Starmer, of course, he is apparently in Downing Street this evening, and he is waiting to find out what more of his cabinet think. It's difficult to see a way back from him from this point, isn't it, to be honest with you? But I suppose one of the plus sides is, at least if he does resign, then his kids can go back to having a really normal life, can't they? Like using a £14 million penthouse of a multi-millionaire to revise for their school exams. Coming up, the Prime Minister thought he had all the answers this morning.
The last government was defined by breaking our relationship with Europe. This Labour government will be defined by rebuilding our relationship with Europe, by putting Britain at the heart of Europe.
Well, despite losing a load of seats in the elections to Brexit-backing areas, he's decided that the answer to that, the solution, is to get closer to the European Union. So we're going to be discussing that and whether or not you think that's a good idea when we come back. Don't go anywhere.
I'm Michelle Dewberry. This is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello, everyone. Patrick Christys here.
GBNews, Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GBNews family with you on any device.
And as long as you have an internet connection. Tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm delighted to be joined by the Chelsea pensioner, the Korean War veteran and the winner of Britain's Got Talent, Colin Thackeray. Colin, welcome to the show. Oh, look at you, mate. You look like an absolute legend. You're in your full Chelsea pensioner gear, of course you are. You're going to sing for us now on St Patrick's Day. First of all, please, sir, a fine rendition for King, for Country, A Vow to Thee.
Right. Ready to go now?
Yes, sir.
I vow to thee, my country, all earthly things above, entire and whole and perfect, the service of my love, the love that asks no questions, the love that stands the test, that lays upon the altar the dearest and the best, the love that never falters, the love that pays the price, the love that makes undaunted the final sacrifice.
You've brought a tear to my eye and no doubt to many, many people listening at home. 96 years old, can you believe it? Colin Thackeray, a very, very beautiful St George's Day. Michelle Dewberry, you joined me in the studio. What a rendition that was. Magnificent.
Come on, I'm going to give you a hug. What a man. Let me tell you something. They do not make them like that anymore. They don't, do they?
Mm.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to what is an absolutely momentous moment in British politics and also, you know, the country's history, really, isn't it? Because it is finally game over for Keir Starmer. 76 Labour MPs have called for him to resign. The cabinet's gone. He's locked away somewhere there in Downing Street. I mean, how long is it before his wife just puts his hand on his shoulder and just says, look, you know, come on, Keir, we don't need this in our lives anymore. Let's go back to, you know, Lord Wahid Ali's penthouse. But there we go. I mean, he decided that the answer to save his career today, after losing shed loads of seats to Reform, after getting an absolute hammering from Nigel Farage, after losing touch with the working-class Brexit-backing base, was to say this.
The last government was defined by breaking our relationship with Europe. This Labour government will be defined by rebuilding our relationship with Europe, by putting Britain at the heart of Europe.
So, Carol, what do you make of that, then?
Putting Britain at the heart, did we not vote a few years ago to actually not be at the heart of Europe because it wasn't doing us any good, it was too expensive? You know, this is... Do you remember Starmer, when he was fighting for the leadership? He actually said that he had accepted the vote of the British people. He had reconciled himself to Brexit and he was going to try and make it work. Here we go now. It's all gone wrong and he wants to get back into Europe. And I've always had this... And it's going to cost us £1 billion for the privilege as well to crawl back in there if they
For what, though? Because this is the other thing.
For what?
With that, he never once actually said what that meant.
What that's going to mean. Well, he's saying it's not going to be the customs union. That's not going to... Is it not? The thing is, no one believes a word he says anymore. We've always known he wanted to get back in. We knew he was lying when he was trying to get the leadership. He was lying about Brexit, and now he's going to drag us back in. And I know a lot of people say it hasn't worked, but it hasn't worked because the governments that were in charge of it when it had happened didn't make it work. It still can.
OK, Benjamin, but that's the big thing. Even if you agree with him, which I think you do, that we need to get closer to Europe, he didn't actually tell you what he meant there. In that big speech to save his life, he didn't say to you, and here's what I mean by being right at the heart of Europe.
I mean, he's absolutely right that closer ties with Europe, better economic integration would help the UK economy, and that would help people, whether they vote Reform or Green or one of the few people that voted Labour. But, I mean, he was wrong to not spell it out. I would also point out that this is to a backdrop that Wes Streeting, who I think we're all expecting to put his hat in the ring in the coming hours, that he has said that closer ties with Europe would be the right way to go forward. Now, I wish that Keir Starmer had been saying this from the start, because we actually need to get things done and get things moving, and the evidence shows that if you join the customs union, you could have as much as 3% growth to our GDP. So, you know, it's not going to save him, but he is right.
Well, go on. What do you think about what he said?
Look, you know,
well, that was LSE and the IFS.
Starmer who thinks that he can save a failing premiership by appointing as an advisor a failed Prime Minister in Gordon Brown. You know, it's the same crazy logic that makes him think that he can save the UK's faltering economy by handcuffing us to Europe, which actually has lower economic growth than Britain. You do not put two losers together and make a winner. This is where Keir Starmer goes wrong. He's got no mandate whatsoever for this getting back into bed with Europe. The British people decided in the biggest possible democratic vote that we have ever had in our nation's time. And for him to throw that back in the face of those voters who only this last week said that they wanted real change shows why he's got to go and he can't get it.
It's been reported just in the last few moments, and this is per Guido Fawkes, the website there, and they are saying this is from the political journalist Robert Peston, that apparently David Lammy, who was today tweeting about adolescence, so he's got his priorities straight, hasn't he? Apparently he is now urging Keir Starmer to quit. Obviously, there's no comment from Lammy's camp yet. They might deny it. But that is the latest line coming out at the moment.
So things could get worse, you mean? Keir Starmer could go and David Lammy becomes our Prime Minister because he's currently the deputy.
Apparently that is the latest news coming out of a couple of different sources.
And also
David
it's being confirmed that Shabana Mahmood is currently in Downing Street, according to Politico, with three other unnamed cabinet ministers, basically working on Keir Starmer, saying, you have to go. This man is finished.
But you know, these are gutless people, all of them, because they knew what was going to happen in the local elections. They knew they were going to get trounced, and yet they've been saying what a fantastic Prime Minister is. They've had his back for months and months, when they should have been telling him months ago to go to help this country. But they haven't. They wanted to save their own jobs, look after their own backs. And even now that the tide is turning, and they can see it, now they're all jumping on the bandwagon saying, what a terrible Prime Minister he is. It's just, they're disgusting, all of them.
I don't think that's fair at all.
And also, can I just add, before you start, this Labour Party is finished. It shouldn't be allowed to exist anymore, because the reason the party was formed in the first place was to look after working people. They've betrayed working people in the biggest possible way.
This has been reported in The Guardian right now, which is that apparently Yvette Cooper, the Foreign Secretary, and Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary, told the Prime Minister that he should seek an orderly transition of power. And apparently David Lammy and John Healey, so that is, of course, David Lammy, the Justice Minister, Deputy PM, and John Healey as well, who's Defence, apparently discussed with Starmer today in Downing Street how they should take a, quote, responsible, dignified, orderly approach to what might follow. Apparently, Lord Hermer and Steve Reed are defiant, urging Starmer to...
Well, Lord Hermer will be taking it to court for him. But I'll tell you what the Prime Minister must now do. On Wednesday, our 77-year-old monarch, who is still suffering from cancer, is going to be dragged into Parliament by this completely discredited Prime Minister to set out Keir Starmer's vision for the next 12 months. If this man had one shred of decency about him, he wouldn't drag our king into politics like this. The King's speech does not bind a new Prime Minister. It's a completely performative bit of parliamentary procedure. He should cancel the King's speech now, because he clearly doesn't have the authority to take it through Parliament.
Presumably the new session of Parliament wouldn't happen if the King didn't deliver that, though? That would be a massive problem.
What they could do is they could... You know, they could have a temporary King's speech, they could do a holding thing. You know, to drag the King into politics, that is just understand my government.
I don't think anyone's dragging the King anyway.
Look, you're staying where you are, because at the top of the 10 o'clock, we're coming right back to you, and it is all kicking off. It looks like very much this is it. That's the door of Downing Street. Supposedly in there is Shabana Mahmood. She certainly was in there earlier on. The latest noises in the last few seconds are that apparently David Lammy, Yvette Cooper, John Healey and Shabana Mahmood have apparently called for Keir Starmer to go. More as we get it.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening, welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. A chilly night to come for England and Wales. Meanwhile, rain will arrive into northwestern areas, making it feel a little bit warmer into tomorrow across the east. So this band of rain clearing to the south coast through the rest of today, but the next band will push into the northwest by tomorrow morning. In between that, clear skies developing quite widely, particularly for more central areas of England and Wales. Eastern areas is where we'll see the coldest temperatures by tomorrow morning. A grass frost is expected quite widely in these areas as temperatures go down as low as -5 or 6 rurally. Further north, there's a risk of a touch of frost, but with cloud and increasing wind speeds, we will see more limited frost, particularly compared to last night and over the weekend. But it will be a chilly and bright start to the day across many southern areas, towns and cities well above freezing by the time we get to 7 o'clock. And as we head further north, there's a cloudier picture with more in the way of rain. Some quite blustery showers will push into the Western Isles, parts of the Highlands and the Northern Isles through much of Tuesday. And with a fresh northwesterly wind, it will feel quite chilly. Across eastern areas through Tuesday, as the wind directions changed from today, it will feel a little bit warmer, but sunshine is going to be relatively limited. We'll see sunny spells, the odd shower here and there. The rain doesn't look particularly heavy through Tuesday, but I think most of us may get caught in the odd shower. So temperatures will climb closer to those mid-teens, a little bit closer to average for the time of year, but it will feel fresher than that in the northwest. This northwesterly wind continues into Wednesday as well. More in the way of showers to come on Wednesday. I think most of us will see some rain, some of that heavy through the day too. Very limited sunshine as well. So another cool day. Further showers to come on Thursday. Then Friday does look a little bit brighter, but still on the cold side for this time of year. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
£76,543 and 21 pence in tax-free cash could be yours this summer. That's totally tax-free cash to spend on anything you like. And remember, because it's totally tax-free cash, you'll get to keep every single penny for a chance to win. Text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From court mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there. With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again. To start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel. 5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show. It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the
unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Well, it's 10 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight,
The election results last week were tough, and I take responsibility.
didn't resign though, did he? Starmer gave the speech he hoped would save his skin, but it didn't land well with the public.
The people.
Yeah, absolutely. And it didn't land well with his own MPs.
Was there anything he could have said today that would have won you over?
Ta-ra, sorry.
And loads of them want Andy Burnham back, but there is a slight problem.
He needs a safe seat. Would you give up your seat for him?
No.
Brilliant. So, 77 Labour MPs have now called for him to go. Apparently, there are 4 ministerial aides that have resigned. And the news that's coming through to us in the last few minutes is this. Apparently, several senior cabinet figures, including that man on your screen right now, David Lammy, have reportedly urged the Prime Minister to go, as well as Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary. That's what's been reported widely this evening, that the Home Secretary has urged him to go, along with, apparently, Yvette Cooper as well, and John Healey, the Defence Secretary. So the big hitters, really, the absolute big hitters, have apparently this evening in Downing Street told Sir Keir Starmer that he either needs to go, he needs to set out a timetable for his resignation, and the front pages have now dropped. Here we go. The Independent's front page. Wes Streeting is poised for leadership bid as the PM vows to fight on. And those are the other noises emerging online this evening, which is that we are potentially just hours away from an official Wes Streeting leadership bid. So there you go. It's all to play for tonight. And on my panel, we've got Daily Express columnist Carol Malone. We've got Reform UK member, former chairman of the Tory party, Sir Jake Berry, and political commentator Benjamin Butterworth. And just in some other news, it's nice to see one Green Party councillor really embracing all their environmental policies. Maybe it's electric. Maybe it's an electric Lambo. I don't know. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. It's over for Sir Keir Starmer. Next.
Good evening. The top stories from the GB newsroom at 2 minutes past 10. Pressure is building on Sir Keir Starmer's leadership as more than 70 Labour MPs, including 5 members of government, call for him to resign. The Deputy Prime Minister, David Lammy, and the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, have both reportedly told him to set out a timetable to quit, as well as ministerial aides Joe Morris, Tom Rutland, Sally Jameson, Nushaba Khan and Melanie Ward have all said he must go. That's despite Sir Keir Starmer delivering a major speech earlier today aimed at reasserting his authority after Labour's historic losses in the local elections, in which he took responsibility for the results and insisted he wouldn't stand down.
Just as I take responsibility for the results, I also take responsibility for delivering the change that we promised. And I take responsibility for not walking away, not plunging our country into chaos as the Tories did time and again, chaos that did lasting damage to this country. A Labour government would never be forgiven for inflicting that on our country again.
President Donald Trump says the ceasefire deal with Iran is on life support as both sides failed to agree on terms to end the war. Tehran rejected the US peace proposal, saying it refused to submit to what they've described as Trump's excessive demands. But the US president described their response as garbage.
Unbelievably weak, I would say. I would call it the weakest right now. After reading that piece of garbage they sent us, I didn't even finish reading it. They said, I'm not going to waste my time reading it. I would say the ceasefire is on massive life support.
All passengers have now been evacuated from a cruise ship hit by an outbreak of hantavirus, with the captain hailing their patients during what he called an extremely challenging few weeks. The World Health Organization has confirmed there are now 7 cases of the virus. 20 British nationals have been taken to Arrow Park Hospital in Merseyside to isolate. And King Charles and Queen Camilla are attending an event to mark the 50th anniversary of the King's Trust. The event at the London Concert Hall is a celebration of young people from across the UK who've been helped by the youth charity since it was founded by Charles in 1976. The pair were greeted by Ant and Dec and met many other celebrity guests, including Sir Rod Stewart, who congratulated the King on his successful state visit to the US, saying he put Donald Trump in his place.
Hello, sir. May I say well done in the Americans? You were superb. Absolutely superb. Put that little black bag in his place.
Those are the latest headlines. Let's get back to Patrick.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more, or visit gbnews.com/truth.
Wow, what a night of news. Blinking you'll miss it stuff here. So, as I'm sure you're aware now, the very latest is that apparently 4 members of Keir Starmer's actual cabinet, supposedly including David Lammy, Shabana Mahmood, Yvette Cooper and John Healey, have met with him and told him to go. But Keir Starmer is obviously in a world of trouble. Labour lost nearly 1,500 seats at the local elections and lost control of 38 councils, many to reform, who want tougher immigration rules. So what was his response? Bring back Gordon Brown, the man who lost an election by slagging off a woman who wanted lower immigration.
No, we've been trying to get people back quickly, but are they going to go to university? That's the plan.
I hope so. They're only 12 and 10.
Oh, they're only 12 and 10, but they're doing well at school.
Yeah, very good.
A good family.
Yeah,
good to see you. What did she say? Oh, everything. She's just a sort of bigoted woman. Said she used to be Labour.
Yeah, the old bigoted woman thing there. Brown apologised for that, but Starmer has brought Brown back for his sound economic advice. The man who sold off all our gold.
Was the fact that you announced in advance that how much you were going to sell and on what day you were going to sell it. It was an error so basic that the average A-level economics student, even in these educationally devalued times, wouldn't have done.
Masterstroke, wasn't it, from Starmer? Who else has Starmer resurrected? Now, look, bear in mind that one of the reasons he's in this absolute mess, with the cabinet telling him to go and 77 MPs telling him to go today, is because of Peter Mandelson, a man who was friends with the world's most notorious paedophile. Step forward, Harriet Harman, a woman who worked for the National Council for Civil Liberties, which was affiliated to the Paedophile Information Exchange. They campaigned to normalise sexual relationships between adults and children and lobbied the government to abolish or significantly lower the age of consent. Now, look, in relation to that connection, Harman has expressed regret, but said she's got nothing to apologise for. She was not personally responsible for that affiliation. But Starmer, you know, has brought back Harriet Harman as his advisor on women and girls, despite her not knowing what a woman is.
You can be born a man, but if you go through various processes, you can actually transition and your gender will be recognised as changed. You know, there are all different sorts of women, including there are biological women and trans women.
Good grief. On Saturday, Labour MP Catherine West called for him to go.
We need someone from within the cabinet to step forward as the leader, and then we will have a new leader of the party without having to have a leadership election. If that cannot happen, and there are no leadership hopefuls who come forward tomorrow, then Monday morning I will put my name forward to stand for the leader of the Labour Party.
Then, over the weekend, Angela Rayner released a long statement basically saying Starmer didn't have a clue, he'd got loads wrong, and he should have let Andy Burnham come back as an MP. She repeated that again, actually, today at some kind of trade union conference. So today, Starmer stepped in front of the cameras and he gave the speech that he hoped would save his political life.
And you'll see it again on Saturday at a march designed to confront and intimidate this diversity and this diverse country. That is why this Labour government will block far-right agitators from travelling to Britain for that event. I will set a new direction for Britain. The last government was defined by breaking our relationship with Europe. This Labour government will be defined by rebuilding our relationship with Europe, by putting Britain at the heart of Europe.
So what was the reaction to this life-saving speech? Well, 77 Labour MPs have now called for him to go, and these include people loads of them, really, to be honest with you. I mean, this Marcus Campbell-Savers says his position is now untenable. Colleagues should have the courage to say publicly what many have said privately for months. Members of the hard left, the soft left, the centre and the right of the Labour Party have now called for Starmer to go. It's over. But, of course, like everything with the Labour Party, it's absolute carnage, because there's nobody decent to replace it. One Labour MP told the deputy political editor of The Guardian, "We have to face up to the fact that every single one of them is effing useless. Andy's strategy has been a disaster. Angela bottled it. Ed clearly are hiding to nothing. Wes is AWOL. God knows what Catherine West is doing. Not quite sure how we ended up here." So, just to summarise how hilarious this is, so check this out. This is Labour MP in Liverpool, Wavertree, Paula Barker, who said this.
I would be delighted if a seat could be identified for Andy Burnham to stand in a by-election.
Great, brilliant. So give Burnham a seat. Great, OK. So what would that mean?
He needs a safe seat. Would you give up your seat for him?
No.
OK, that's socialism, isn't it? That is socialism. Someone needs to pay with their job to do what's best for the country. Not me, though. I'm not going to pay. No, you pay, not me. You can pay. I'm not going to pay, but someone needs to pay. It's not going to be me, though. I'm not going to. And now, tonight, more than 70 MPs, 77 we think so far, have called for Starmer to go, 4 ministerial aides, and the rumours are that the Cabinet is going to tell him to quit at a meeting tomorrow morning. The other rumours are that 4 of them have already done it. And just in case Keir Starmer was in any doubt as to the mood of the country, here's what happened during a report from our very own Will Godley out and about today.
The people.
Now, you might have missed that. Will's there doing his thing and everything's going swimmingly, and then someone shouts, Keir Starmer's a...
The people.
Brilliant. It's at times like this I'm really grateful for the sage wisdom of our establishment media legends, like Andrew Marr.
You look at the chaos going on in the continent, particularly in France. You look at the chaos likely ahead in the United States. And suddenly, for once, for the first time in many of our lives, actually Britain looks like a little haven of peace and stability. And that in itself is going to draw money into this country.
Oh, gosh. Right, joining us now, before we go to my panel, is GB News senior political commentator Nigel Nelson. Nigel, what do you make of these breaking developments this evening that apparently David Lammy, Yvette Cooper, Shabana Mahmood and John Healey have all told Keir Starmer to shuffle off?
Well, if Keir Starmer turns round tomorrow and says no he won't and they resign, then the game's up. Keir Starmer will go once they actually basically put their jobs where their mouths are and are prepared to walk away. So we'll have to see what actually transpires tomorrow at Cabinet. I think that they're being a bit preemptive. They're not thinking through the consequences of what they might be doing. What they should be doing is holding off, let Keir Starmer come up with his new legislative programme in the King's Speech on Wednesday and get Andy Burnham back so all the various candidates for the Prime Minister's job are back in the frame.
Yeah, OK, but that would involve someone giving up a safe seat, and there aren't really any safe Labour seats at the moment. Apparently Clive Lewis was thinking of giving his up in Norwich, but I don't think Andy Burnham wants to go to Norwich.
No, that's the problem. But the whole point about the danger at the moment is that if you have a new leader now and Andy Burnham gets a seat sometime later, he may well challenge the new leader, and Labour will be in the same position that the Tories were in, constantly swapping prime ministers. So the answer is to leave it a bit. I mean, I'm not saying you leave it for too long. I think that Keir Starmer has got until Parliament breaks up for the summer to show that he's got what it takes to remain as Prime Minister. But they ought to give him that time. It sounds like the Cabinet are not going to do that, and so we will lose him tomorrow.
You think he will go tomorrow?
In the event that the Cabinet are prepared to resign if he doesn't, yes, he would go.
Nigel, thank you very, very much. Nigel Nelson there, GB News' senior political commentator. Let's get to my panel now. We've got Daily Express columnist Carol Malone. We've got Reform UK member Sir Jake Berry and political commentator Benjamin Butterworth. OK, Carol, so look, that quite bombshell news that's just emerging at the moment is that, David Lammy, Yvette Cooper, so that is Justice and Deputy Prime Minister, Foreign Secretary, Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood and Defence Secretary John Healey have apparently, reportedly, told him to go.
This will be the same John Healey that last Thursday said Starmer's going to stay the course, but there you go. That was when he was losing seats, and it was clear he was losing seats. Anyway, sacking Keir Starmer is all very well. All these people kind of now saying he has to go. But no one should kid themselves that anything is going to be any different for this government or for the Labour Party. Yes, last week's election results were a rejection of Starmer, but they were also a rejection of an entire political class which has tried to shove its detestable values down the throats of the British people for the last 2 years. And the British people just said last Thursday, enough now. And when we refused to accept those values, we were all slated as racists, as transphobes, as Islamophobes, as the far right. This government has tried to shame the people into this country of believing what it believes. They're not... Every policy they've passed has not been about what's best for this country. It's been about their zealotry, their ideologues, and they want to push their beliefs onto the rest of us. And last Thursday showed we're not going to accept
Fine,
it.
sorry, I've just got some breaking news. You can't take your eyes off it this evening. So, you will have noticed that earlier on today, 6 PPSs, these are parliamentary... I always get this wrong. Parliamentary Permanent Secretaries, that's right. Private Secretary, oh, whatever, anyway. Right, these people, very important people, have resigned, OK? They have resigned. Now, what the government has done is appoint 6 new PPSs to plug those resignation gaps in the last few minutes. And they are, by the way, I don't think you'll have heard of any of these people, but you're not alone. David Burton-Sampson, Department for Health and Social Care. Lindsay Farnsworth, Ministry of Justice. Jane Kirkham, Department of Environment, Food and Rural Affairs. Michael Payne, Home Office. Tim Rocker, Department for Work and Pensions. And Sean Woodcock, the Cabinet Office. And I have another breaking news line for you now. I don't know whether you will believe this or not, but here we go. You ready? Sir Keir Starmer is apparently resisting calls from senior cabinet ministers to stand down, which is why he's just appointed those 6 new PPS appointments to replace those who quit, calling for him to go. And apparently he is standing by his position this morning that he is not going to walk away. This is getting very, very messy indeed, Jake. isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm just looking online, Patrick, because this is breaking by the moment. The best place to get all the updates is here on GB News, because I'm seeing that the soft left caucus of the Labour Party has apparently now briefing journalists that if Wes Streeting thinks he can pull off, quote, some sort of stitch-up, that he will last less time in office than Liz Truss managed against the lettuce. This is a full-on civil war between the right and the left of the Labour Party about who's going to replace Keir Starmer. Many of the MPs are waiting for him to resign. This war is already ongoing across the Labour Party. I mean, I remember Conservative leadership elections, we never actually did in the next person before they'd even declared that. I mean, this is brutal stuff. And why this matters is we've got the King's speech coming on Wednesday. I think it's a disgrace that the King is being dragged to Parliament to get involved in this political psychodrama in Westminster. We've got multiple crises in our economy, in our health service, on our borders, and the Labour Party is not governing. Keir Starmer's entire focus is on saving his skin. Parts of the Labour Party's focus is on getting their man or woman into office, and they are just at war with each other. The civil servants, I've seen this myself, they will be on strike. They won't be doing anything because they'll think Keir Starmer isn't going to be there in a few weeks. While the Labour Party fiddles, Britain is burning, and that is bad for our country. And this is the chaos that they've brought
What
into
does
the
it say
streets.
about Keir Starmer, seriously, that he is apparently currently resisting 77, at least 77 MPs.
78.
78, there you go, it's gone up again. 78 MPs have called for him to go. Apparently, at least 4 members of his actual cabinet have called for him to go. 6 ministerial aides have resigned, and he is in the Downing Street bunker, still refusing to go.
Well, I suspect that tomorrow morning, 81 MPs, which is nominally the number you need to mount a leadership bid, will be reached. I think what's going on right now is heavily coordinated. I'd just go back to the remarks you made about 6 people taking up new roles as PPSs, which is the absolute most junior ministerial rung. Well, I know 3 of those 6 quite well, and I can tell you that they are very much on the Wes Streeting side of the party. And so I'm inherently suspicious of them taking those jobs.
Oh, wow.
Because I can't imagine they'll last very long.
That's important. That's really important. So, yeah, so that other breaking news, apart from that apparently genuinely Keir Starmer is resisting all attempts to get him out this evening, that he has just appointed 6 new PPSs, ministerial aides, to replace the 6 that resigned earlier, and you're saying that 3 of them at least are Wes Streeting loyalists.
And I don't know the other 3, so I can't say whether they are or not.
It is a veritable who's that of British politics.
Exactly.
No one's heard of any of them.
Indeed. Someone actually, Tim Stanley, the Telegraph journalist, said, I'll know there's a problem as soon as someone resigns I've ever heard of. Which is probably a good summary.
But isn't Starmer's delusion troubling? You know, this is a man who is now beginning to look a little bit unhinged. You know, he's clinging on by his fingernails in a way that no other Prime Minister that I can remember has, and refusing to go. And it makes him look desperate. It also demeans him and it degrades his office.
Well, could we just say sorry, because we've got, I think, more breaking news, and here to deliver it is the GB News Deputy Political Editor, Tom Harwood, who is live in Westminster for us this evening. Tom, come on, what's the latest?
I'm afraid, Patrick, I'm going to reiterate the names that you so ably set about at the start of this discussion. This is the Starmer sort of plug the gaps operation. Of course, appointing a whole tranche of new MPs to those parliamentary private secretary roles in order to plug the gaps that have formed on his benches on the sort of most junior ministerial rung, so to speak. Now, this is slightly reminiscent for people that were following previous government collapses. If we remember back to June and July 2022, when things started to fall apart for Boris Johnson, he had several attempts to plug the gaps of both PPSs, whips and indeed ministers, as he totted up in total more than 60 resignations from his government. Now, it's a question mark as to whether or not this Prime Minister will need 60 resignations before he decides to go, but tomorrow is an incredibly important moment, because whilst the Prime Minister has attempted to show tonight that it's business as usual, the government continues. Yes, 6 individuals that were on the government payroll are now no longer there, but there are 6 new ones to take their place. It's almost the implication that is trying to be given to other people thinking about resigning, that they too can be replaced. But crucially, we know that cabinet ministers have gone to meet the Prime Minister today and privately expressed how they feel. We've seen reports that Ed Miliband did the same, not this week, but several weeks ago. And we also know that Cabinet is meeting tomorrow morning, as it was always scheduled to do. And there's wide reports that at this Cabinet meeting, one by one, we will see a series of Cabinet ministers in public, in front of those other Cabinet ministers, tell the Prime Minister that the game is up. Slightly reminiscent of how Margaret Thatcher ultimately was removed as Prime Minister, that one by one ministers went to see her and said, you cannot go on. Could that happen tomorrow morning? Well, it looks more and more likely that we'll reach the symbolic threshold of 81 public calls for the Prime Minister to go from 81 MPs. That's symbolic for a couple of reasons. Number one, that that's the number that were there to be an individual challenger. That's the number of nominations they would need to force a contest if the Prime Minister doesn't voluntarily resign.
All right.
But number two, it's also very close to that 83 number that wipes away the Prime Minister's majority. If 83 members of Parliament, Labour members of Parliament, say they have no confidence in the Prime Minister, well, that shows that more than half the House of Commons doesn't have confidence in the Prime Minister.
Absolutely.
That is a weighty, weighty moment.
Well, we're possibly only minutes away from that happening the way that it's been going tonight, Tom, as well. By the way, I'm just hearing that apparently Jonathan Reynolds, the Chief Whip, has just left Downing Street. So it's 24 minutes past 10 at the time that I speak to you now. If he's left Downing Street now, interesting time. I don't know what we make of that. Can I just present to you some of tomorrow's newspaper front pages slightly earlier than planned, but it's an important day, Tom. Be really keen to get your reaction to what we're seeing here. So the Daily Mirror's front page is one we've got here. Rebels turn on Starmer. PM comes out fighting, but obviously some of the aides have quit. The Independent, streeting poised for leadership bid, but the PM vows to fight on. The Daily Express go for PM on the edge. Ministerial aides quit. At least 80 Labour MPs demand his exit. I don't know whether they've decided to go a little bit early there, thinking that by the time that the paper comes out fully for most people tomorrow morning, they will have hit that 80 number. I think it is currently technically 77, unless you're willing to correct me on that, Tom. The Guardian, Starmer's survival on the line as cabinet ministers urge him to quit. And it actually was the Guardian's Pippa Crerar and Jessica Elgott who earlier on broke the news that apparently Lammy, Mahmood, Cooper and Healy had told Starmer to basically go / set out a schedule for his departure. And the Metro, Starmer eyes British Steel as plots thicken nationalisation to appease Labour's left. I think the most interesting one there, Tom, just to get your take quickly, is the Independent, this Wes Streeting leadership bid. The noise again on X this evening is that apparently Wes Streeting's allies are very keen to say that he's not one of those Labour cabinet ministers who has spoken to Keir Starmer tonight. And I think we can probably read quite a lot into that.
Well, everyone knows that Wes Streeting has been running a sort of shadow campaign, as many others have been over the course of the past few months. But crucially, he doesn't want to be seen to be the first one to wield the knife. There is this sort of superstition in Westminster, perhaps ever since the days of Michael Heseltine, maybe even before then, that the sort of first person to cause a leadership contest never gets the crown, that the person who wields the knife never wins the crown, that's the phrase. But clearly, I think we are now at a stage where Wes Streeting has put a lot of that water. He hasn't said anything at all today. Yes, some people associated with Wes Streeting have been those who have resigned. Wes Streeting's parliamentary private secretary, his PPS Joe Morris, was one of the first PPSs to resign today. Also, some of Wes Streeting's closest friends in Parliament, his constituency neighbour, Jazz Athwell, was one of the first ones to resign today. Sorry, to call for Starmer Starmer to go today as well. There's clearly some people who are more associated with Wes Streeting that have been trying to get this contest going. But crucially, no one thinks that Catherine West is sort of crucial to the Streeting camp. And of course, she was the first one to almost fire the starting gun on a potential contest. And also there have been other names that aren't related to Streeting as well. So whilst his name is clearly at the fore here, I think he will be satisfied that there is enough ambiguity as to who really started all of this leadership furore today that he would be able to declare without looking necessarily like the singular assassin that sometimes is punished in leadership elections like this. Indeed, people around Wes Streeting might well be telling him that yes, of course, there are examples of sort of the first person to make the move not getting the crown eventually, but there are many, many more examples of the people who refuse to make the move, of the people who sit on their hands and then miss their moments. History is littered, political history in this country is littered with many more examples of those people who sit on their hands and miss their moment than those who go for the job and ultimately come second or third. So potentially Streeting and people around him will be saying, tomorrow's the day to make your move.
You go, Tom Harwood, thank you very much as ever. Our deputy political editor Tom Harwood joining us from Westminster with the absolute very latest. Sir Keir Starmer apparently resisting calls from that bunker in Downing Street tonight, despite 4 members of his cabinet telling him to go. Apparently Lord Hermer and Steve Reed are both telling him to stay on, which is interesting because probably neither of them will ever get a job again after they've gone, so there's that. Just looking now at an article that's been written by Guido Fawkes. You know Starmer's big speech today, the one that was supposed to save his political career, show everyone who he really was and what he's really about. They've crunched it through AI, and apparently 65% of Starmer's reset speech was just recycled from his address at a Labour conference. The man's got nothing. He's a husk of a man. But I'm concerned, you know, if he goes now, we're never going to find out what his dad did for a living. You know, are we? And like I said before, his kids, they're going to have to go back to a normal life, like living in a multi-millionaire's £14 million penthouse in Covent Garden to revise for their exams. I mean, how are they going to survive for that? You know, who's going to buy his wife's wardrobe now? You know, he's not going to get that box at the World Cup, is he? He's on for it if he stayed at...
Is he going to see Arsenal win the league, or is he going to no longer be Prime Minister before that happens?
Will he still get the box at Arsenal? That's the thing. Or will he have to go and stand with the plebs, you know? I mean, I don't know.
He doesn't have to pay.
Oh, will he have to pay? Yeah. Will he have to pay to go and watch Arsenal Football Club? Gosh, who would do such a thing? But yeah, look, I mean, let's just have a look at the very latest here. I mean, recycling some of these, some of his speech, but also as I pick through tomorrow's, you know, newspaper front pages, I mean, the writing's on the wall. The game's gone really for Starmer. The iPaper, Starmer mutiny grows with Labour Party in open revolt against the Prime Minister. Is there? I mean, Jake, you know this. How ugly could this get if Starmer just refuses to go, which the noises are that he's currently doing? What could happen?
Well, I suppose the one trump card he holds, played it yet, there are some rumours online that Labour whips, the sort of, you know, the HR department of government, if you like, are phoning around Labour MPs saying that if Keir Starmer goes, there will have to be a general election. They'll be terrified of that because most of them are going to lose their job. That's the one thing he can do. He has it in his executive power. He can go and see the King, call a general election. I think the country would say hallelujah because I think we all want one. That is really the only sort of final death throw chance. The Hail Mary of all Hail Marys.
The ego that would take in this current situation with everything against you to go and call a general election. Is he really that much of a narcissist?
Starmer? I think he's a narcissist, Roy, but I also think he's a deluded narcissist. But, you know, I think, you know, the bottom line here, even if he does go tomorrow, all the people that are going to throw the hat in the ring to take his place, they're all duds. And I don't get why anyone even talks about Ed Miliband being Prime Minister in this country. He is hated in the country. Yes, the party likes them. Yes, I know that. But it doesn't matter. If he takes the helm whenever, the Labour Party is finished. Not just this government, the Labour Party is finished. Rayner's a dud, you know, thick as mince. The unions will dictate policy. Miliband, the eco-zealot. You know, you've got Streeting, who actually, is only committed to himself in this race. Do you know, in 2018, he was asked who would be Prime Minister in 10 years' time. He said, me. He really believes, he's always believed this is his fate.
All right. Well, I think Wes Streeting is in a completely different league to anybody else.
Oh, no, he's not.
He absolutely is. He's the best Labour politician there
What's he done for the NHS?
Since Tony Blair. Well, as you heard earlier, there's been massive reductions in the waiting lists.
And we know that some of those waiting lists have been massaged. We know that.
But the point I would make tonight is that two things have happened. I think Catherine West coming forward was completely out of the blue, but it's meant that this has to happen now. I know that some MPs, some Labour MPs who call themselves the Sensibles, didn't want it to happen so soon. They feel like it's been thrust upon them. But what's happening is clearly coordinated by Wes Streeting, because you saw the first letter on Saturday, an article in The Times by Josh Simons, a Labour MP, who said that it was time to go. He is very much aligned with Wes Streeting. And then tonight, at 6 p.m. on the dot, when the markets closed, you had Tom Rutland, a Labour MP that's very close to Wes Streeting. And since then, it's been about every 10 minutes that another person coming forward saying they don't have faith has happened. So I think what's happening here is coordinated, and that by lunchtime tomorrow you would expect Wes Streeting to come out.
Just out of Downing Street as we speak, 36 seconds ago, Number 10 says that Keir Starmer will meet with apprentices tomorrow to underline the government's drive to overhaul the apprenticeship system. Brilliant. OK, absolutely. It's like Comical Alley at this point, isn't it? You know, everything is fine, nothing's going wrong, bombs dropping behind him, Downing Street's on fire, you know, all this. But look, all this talk about, oh, it could get worse. It could get worse. You know, you were saying about, you know, Angela Rainey, saying about West Street, whoever else. But, of course, there is another way that it could get worse. And Labour took an absolute battering at the local elections. We know that. But part of it was due to the surging popularity of the Greens. And here is what Starmer had to say about them today.
So we will face up to the big challenges. And we will make the big arguments, the Labour case, that only Labour values and Labour policies can ensure our country not only weathers these storms, but emerges stronger and fairer. And the Labour case, that neither Nigel Farage nor Zach Polansky offers our country the serious progressive leadership that these times demand.
What we've spoken about, and we're going to go on to speak about whether or not it was a bit of a mistake for Keir Starmer to essentially brand Reform and Reform voters as extremists, which is basically what he did. But he also did it about the Greens, didn't he? And they are from the other angle. So we're going to just talk quickly now to the Green Party activist, Ashok Kumar, who joins us now. Thank you very, very much, Ashok. Great to have you in the studio. Thanks for waiting around for us. It's a bit of a fast-moving picture this evening. So what do you make of that? Keir Starmer essentially, dare I say it, calling you an extremist?
Well, obviously, it's a desperate... I mean, he's acting only in desperation right now. And the Greens obviously are a greater threat. I mean, if you look at... even Labour MPs like Clive Lewis said today that, you know, for every 10 that Labour lost, 10 votes Labour lost to Reform, they lost 16 to Greens. And so that's the real terrain in which they're losing. They're losing, you know, 500 council seats to the Greens. They lost, 5 boroughs and the leadership of 3 boroughs in London, mayorships. I mean, it was kind of like in cities they're really losing to the Greens. So that's the real danger. If the implication that it was anything more than that, you know, we want to raise wages, we want to fight climate change. These aren't dangerous ideas. Not doing those things is actually dangerous. It's actually Keir Starmer who's the one who's been pushing people more and more to go to the far right because, you know, it's continuity Tory. He's instituting austerity. He's doing, winter fuel allowance. He continued the two-child benefit cap. All of these programs without giving anyone any reason to support Labour only push people to the right. And now we're seeing it's pushing people also to the left. So when he says dangerous, he means dangerous to his hold or grip on power.
Well, he's getting hammered from the left. He's getting absolutely hammered from the left and the right. But look, just while I've got you on, I do want to put this to you because look, we're talking all about Starmer and how he wants to combat the Greens and how he wants to combat Reform and all of that stuff. But you know, look, of course, it's been a pretty troubled week for Zach Polansky, hasn't it? I mean, various claims about him being put under the microscope, you know, misleading us about past jobs. Last week, he was found to have claimed to be a spokesperson for the Red Cross. He was never a spokesperson. Today, apparently, he was found to have claimed that he worked for the Ministry of Justice. Yet again, he never worked for the Ministry of Justice. And we're not even 100% sure where he lives or what council tax he pays. pays. I mean, he says he was on a houseboat, we think, but he's facing questions over whether or not he's underpaid his council tax on a London houseboat. I mean, then there's the name. It's not really Zach Polanski, is it? It's Dave Polden. And, you know, on Sunday, a source close to the Green leader said that he's a real-world person who's had many jobs that have helped shape his politics. But yeah, we talk about Keir Starmer being in absolute chaos, but, I mean, good grief. I mean, Zach Polanski's just Walter Mitty, isn't he?
Not really. I mean, look, I think the success of the Green Party naturally brings out this kind of scrutiny, and I think that's fine. I think, you know, the story about the Red Cross, he organized a number of events, he spoke at those events. Of course, that wasn't a spokesperson. He clarified that. You know, the question of, I mean, he lives in Hackney. There's no real question there. He was employed but he was just employed Ministry of Justice through an agency. And the Telegraph story says
so he didn't work at the Ministry of Justice.
These are really non-stories, but it's important that we scrutinize our leaders. So there's no problem with that. But it's more a referendum, a reflection of the success of the Greens.
If he's found, and it's a big if, but if he's found to have deliberately underpaid his council tax, then he's going to have to go, isn't he?
He's got to go. I mean, look, we'll deal with that when that issue comes up.
Right.
But, you know, I don't think there's any evidence for that, actually.
OK, all right. Well, and just to say, if Keir Starmer goes tomorrow, which it looks like he might, and we get a general election, do you want to see things Zach Polanski and the Greens can win?
Do you think Zach Polanski can win if there's a general election right now? Well, I think that we give it a real shot. I think that, you know, the nation's really crying out for politics that isn't about division, that's about wealth distribution and against wars. And, you know, the recent election is a reflection of that.
All right, thank you very much. Look, really appreciate your time this evening, mate. Take care. Right, so in regards to the Red Cross, Zach Polanski posted this on X. I've always admired the work of the British Red Cross, from their work to support refugees to their work supporting people in Gaza and in conflict zones. Previously, Zach Polanski told the BBC he hosted fundraisers for the Red Cross and spoke publicly about his humanitarian work on climate issues, etc. He said it was wrong to use the word that he'd been a spokesperson. By the way, just on the houseboat issue and council tax thing, Polanski says Zach's council tax is included in the rent he pays to his landlord, and apparently they also confirmed that he'd used a building next to the marina where his houseboat is moored as a convenient and secure place to collect his post. In relation to the Ministry of Justice claim, apparently a spokesperson for Polanski said he worked for the Justice Assessment Committee, which is described as a programme to improve the diversity of justice in the MOJ. Right, let's return to the front page. I wanted to bring that to you because I think it's important. Starmer has attacked both the right and the left today. It's important to get the left's views on it as well. If I look at the Daily Mail's front page, Starmer on the brink as cabinet ministers tell him it's time to go. And that is the breaking news that we had a little bit earlier on, that apparently David Lammy, Shabana Mahmood, we've also had Yvette Cooper. They've told him to go. So do you think that we are going to get the plinth out tomorrow at some point outside Downing Street?
Probably, but I think, you know, I'm looking at the Labour Party now. It's in exactly the same position as the Tories were after 14 years. They've got there into. The party is riven by infighting, and this is not going to end when the leadership battle restarts again. What is going to happen to this country in the meantime? We're going to have another however many months of politicians pitching for the top job for themselves, self-interest. Wes Streeting is totally out of self-interest, and they don't care what happens to the country in the meantime. If they did, they'd probably buckle down. Look, I hate Starmer as a leader, but I fear for what's coming next. I think what's coming next is worse.
Talking to one party leader there, Keir Starmer, can I just say, with absolute comic timing, it has just been published in the Times, and there is a statement here from it might not be only one party that's looking for a new leader. Zach Polanski has apparently admitted to failing to pay the correct council tax, and the statement from the Green Party is this: until relatively recently, Zach was living on a houseboat, which came with its own unique practical circumstances and considerations. He's immediately taken steps to pay any council tax he may be found to owe. Zach apologises sincerely sincerely for the unintentional mistake. For security reasons, we do not comment publicly on Zach's address. There have recently been 2 serious incidents which have been reported to the police and are under investigation. But this just speaks to the quality of politician that we've got at the moment. Starmer, Polanski.
He thought he didn't have to pay council tax. This is a guy who for years has posted pictures about his houseboat saying, this is my fantastic home, look at my fantastic
So look at the state of this.
He's lied so many times.
Obviously he says he's just made innocent mistakes, but look at this, all the front pages. Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, probably going to go tomorrow because it's imploding. Zach Polanski, there's been found, just a Walter Mitty, or should that be Walter Titty of British politics, the things this guy's done. Amazing when it comes to this. This is the state of British politics. But we've got fresh papers for you. Yes, that's right. The papers we have not yet shown you, the front pages. The I paper, Starmer mutiny grows with Labour Party in open revolt against the PM. The Daily Star, Dear PM, by order of the traitors, you have been murdered. Quite a strong one, that. The Daily Mail, Starmer on the brink as cabinet ministers tell him it's time to go. The Daily Telegraph, time to go, cabinet tells Starmer. The Times, cabinet turns on Starmer. You don't survive that, Benjamin, do you?
And the people that are coming forward are not simply from the so-called right of the Labour Party. Yvette Cooper, John Healey, 2 names that are said to have told him that time is up tonight. These are sort of the middle of the Labour Party. They're old hands of the party, people that they listen to. And so he ought to take that message that it is over. The question that will come tomorrow is, first of all, will he decide to go before that cabinet meeting? Because they will probably be that will be the death knell. And then how does he go? So will it be the case that Wes Streeting launches his campaign and that they try to get straight into a leadership election? Or will there be an announcement of a so-called orderly timetable which gives that opportunity for Andy Burnham to make his way?
But why would Starmer cuckold himself like that? Squatting in number 10, just giving himself enough time to let Andy Burnham come in and move in.
But in practice, it's not how it works. So if you remember when David Cameron resigned, he said, I'm going to step down at the Conservative Party conference, and then Theresa May was Prime Minister within a matter of weeks. The minute Keir Starmer sets out a timetable to go, it's over, he will be replaced, someone will come in and replace him. This idea that he can sort of choreograph in some way who the next leader may be, it will be out of his hands. He's a busted flush. What will happen? He will be a victim of what is happening to him, then he will not be the master of it.
Yeah. I think one of the questions is that, a real section of the Parliamentary Party wants it to be Andy Burnham, namely Angela Rayner, who seems to prefer the idea of her being a senior minister in his government. That's been reported a few times. But I've spoken to people on Labour's national executive in the last few hours, and it doesn't sound like there's any shift in their position of allowing Andy Burnham to run for a constituency. And, of course, he would have to win it, which recent elections suggest wouldn't be a great chance for a Labour politician. So I think that Andy Burnham probably won't be in this race. The question is, who will Wes Streeting be against? And I think we'll probably have a clear idea of that in the next 24 hours.
And if Andy Burnham does step down of Mayor of Manchester, I think it's highly likely that will be won by reform. And I think that is the NEC's reservations about this, giving away what is arguably Britain's second city, but certainly Britain's second mayoralty of any city to reform, which, by the way, I'd absolutely support, but I don't think the Labour Party is going to get behind that idea.
I think Burnham would be scared to step down as mayor unless he was guaranteed to walk into Downing Street. If he fails, he's got a good job as Manchester Mayor. People say he's done a good job. But if he gives that up and comes here to be an MP in a constituency where he may lose a seat at the general election, he's got nothing. This is a big decision for him. And unless he's absolutely sure of victory, I don't see him doing it.
Yeah, we've had... How many resets have we had? Keir Starmer tried to do a reset earlier today, and that's gone absolutely Pete Tong. If I'm looking at the Times here, Cabinet turns on Starmer, PM told to timetable departure. More than 75 MPs call for him to go. Streeting ready to make a move. So there you go. And it's fascinating because I think for Keir Starmer tonight, what's really going to be getting at him is he's going to be thinking, what is my legacy? I've gone from being a relatively well-regarded, and by the way, I'm convinced that that's only because people didn't really know who he was, but a well-regarded legal mind and legal figure. And actually, that's been thrown to the wolves recently because of the role that he and Hermer have reportedly played in the prosecution of British troops. Now, they obviously say their hands are squeaky clean, but the British public, I think, has a different view on that. Prosecution of British troops, their previous, who they've previously represented in terms of the terrorists and the jihadis and the IRA, they say it's the cab rank rule, but then you look at some of the pro bono work he's done and you think, was it all really, how come they all had you on speed dial, mate? So his actual legal background now, I think, has been largely discredited, and he's come into politics and his reputation is in tatters. You know, he's got people shouting the W word at him at the races, shouting it at the football, shouting it at the darts. Some random bloke shouted it in the street today as well. Godley was doing it as a report. You know, this guy is the most unpopular Prime Minister ever. You know, his reputation, his entire life's work tonight is in absolute tatters.
2 years ago, he had the goodwill of the people of most of the people in this country, and in 2 years he has spaffed it all up the wall. There is no good of people detest him.
And he came to power after really, I know there was a bit in between, but really after kind of the Boris Johnson stuff, where it was all about lies, deceit, chaos.
Yes.
What is the word that comes to mind now? And you at home, you play this game with me. What's the word that comes to mind when you think Keir Starmer?
Liar.
Liar. That's what people think. Now, he again will say he's not a liar, absolutely. But I'm just saying, in the perception of the British public, those words go hand in hand, and that I think will be really eating away at him. But we've got a few clips to remind ourselves of what Keir Starmer said earlier today. This was his big reset speech. He had to make it. Devastating weekend for him, and he was hoping to stave off the exact revolt that we have seen this evening. Here was one of the big flagship things that he said.
Election results last week were tough. Very tough. We lost some brilliant Labour representatives. That hurts. And it should hurt. I get it. I feel it. And I take responsibility.
But has he taken responsibility?
No.
When we heard what he said today, I mean, his own cabinet MPs, Benjamin, they don't think he's taken responsibility, do they?
Yeah, I think it's the managerialism that has been the problem. I mean, here's someone who has tried to delegate a lot of the responsibilities of being Prime Minister. Now, that's something that might have worked effectively as Director of Public Prosecutions, but clearly it's not been a great leadership style, and that is what has frustrated people. There is a great groundswell of support, of sympathy, of respect within the Labour Party for Keir Starmer. You know, only 3 people, Labour leaders in history, have won a majority at a general election.
That was by default.
Harold Wilson, Tony Blair and Keir Starmer.
It was by default, and you
so
know it.
He has a great deal to be proud of, but I think the question that he's been facing for some weeks now is whether he can get out with dignity.
OK, and this was another thing that he said about how, really, if he goes, it's quite laughable, this, but, like, if he goes, then it'll be chaos. But here's what he said.
And I take responsibility for not walking away, not plunging our country into chaos, as the Tories did time and again, chaos that did lasting damage to this country. A Labour government would never be forgiven for inflicting that on our country again.
So, is he not right in a way about that, Jake? It would be chaos if he goes.
Well, I think there's worse to come. I mean, I don't think, as much as we may think that Keir Starmer's done a terrible job, I think the British public will loathe more than the current Keir Starmer government what will come next. I fear for Britain and her position in the world and for our economy if we get this soft left caucus, which, let's not forget, has already said tonight that if Wes Streeting wins because he's not left-wing enough, they're going to get rid of him faster than the Conservatives got rid of Liz Truss. That will be chaos. What comes after Starmer will be worse. Britain needs a general election. Britain needs reform. This election, this hollow election victory that Starmer won, was his own. He put a picture of himself on the front of the Labour manifesto. No one else. He has a personal mandate. He's blown it. If he goes, we should have a general election.
OK, now, Carol, I want to put this clip to you. This is Keir Starmer, who was talking about... I'll let him say it, but it's about whose side he's on. OK, here it is.
There are millions of people in that boat. Millions of people who don't get the dignity, the respect, the chance that they deserve to go as far as their talent and effort should take them. Millions of people held back because the status quo in this country does not work for them. I am fighting for them. We are fighting for them. I am their Prime Minister and this is their government. Because I know whose side I'm on.
Yeah, well, the problem there, I think, Carol, was that he initially started by saying there's millions of people on that boat, and then he said, I know whose side I'm on, and he's just talking about small boat migrants there for me.
Well, you know, he's talking about... There are so many people in this country that he has let down. He's let down pensioners, he's let down working people, he's let down small businesses. Thousands of job losses on his watch. And he says that he really cares about these people. No, he doesn't. He was told time and time again that his policies, what they would do and how they would affect people, and he went ahead and did them anyway. And as a consequence now, businesses have closed, pubs have closed, restaurants have closed, people are on the scrap heap, the benefits budget's gone up. His party has made it pay to go on benefits, something the Tories tried desperately hard to avoid. They wanted to make work pay. This party makes it pay for you to go on benefits.
This is it. This is one of the things, isn't it? I think one of the key things, Benjamin, for Keir Starmer, which is that it looks like he's on the side of the shirkers, not the workers. It looks like he's on the side of people who want to have as many kids, who want to come to this country, have as many kids as they can,
and
whilst everyone else has to actually seriously financially consider that. He's on the side of people, you know, who just want to claim a load of benefits, who want to sign on. He's on the side of people who just come to this country illegally and want to stay in a hotel and get a phone and get a house. You know, all of this stuff. That's who it seems like he's on the side of.
Well, you're quite wrong. But, you know, this is someone who's increased the minimum wage so that people in the hardest situations get a better deal, that stopped things like 0 hours contracts, that meant people could wake up getting ready to do a hard day's work and then be told by their Amazon boss that there was no work to be done. That is a decent, dignified Prime Minister, and that is what the country wanted. And let's not forget just what a difficult position the country was in 2 years ago, and frankly still is in.
It was the fastest growing economy in the G7.
There is a rewriting of history that somehow this is an easy job.
Why did you just ignore that? It was the fastest growing economy in the G7.
And it's still, I think, the second fastest growing.
No,
the fact is that, you know, it is an extremely difficult job. And I think that some parties, like Reform in particular, would be more honest with the public that it's not going to be fixed quickly.
Do you know what terrifies me? Is if you talk to Labour backbenchers, you look at what they're putting on the internet, you look at what the paper is, they genuinely think that Keir Starmer is unpopular and is going because he isn't left-wing enough.
He's left-wing enough. Well, there you go.
Know, be fearful of what's coming next.
All right, well, there you go. But you don't need to be fearful of what's coming next here, because I've got another hour and we've got all the front pages. Just to summarise, 4 members of his cabinet, at least, have apparently told him to go tonight. Shaban Mahmood, Yvette Cooper, David Lammy, John Healey. 77 MPs have told him to go. Apparently, Keir Starmer is in the bunker this evening, digging in. Lord Hermer in his ear saying, don't go anywhere, Keir. We'll have all the latest for you in the next hour.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening, welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. A chilly night to come for England and Wales. Meanwhile, rain will arrive into northwestern areas, making it feel a little bit warmer into tomorrow across the east. So this band of rain clearing to the south coast through the rest of today, but the next band will push into the northwest by tomorrow morning. In between that, clear skies developing quite widely, particularly for more central areas of England and Wales. Eastern areas is where we'll see the coldest temperatures by tomorrow morning. A grass frost is expected quite widely in these areas as temperatures go down as low as -5 or 6 rurally. Further north, there's a risk of a touch of frost, but with cloud and increasing wind speeds, we will see more limited frost, particularly compared to last night and over the weekend. But it will be a chilly and bright start to the day across many southern areas, towns and cities well above freezing by the time we get to 7 o'clock. And as we head further north, there's a cloudier picture with more in the way of of rain. Some quite blustery showers will push into the Western Isles, parts of the Highlands and the Northern Isles through much of Tuesday, and with a fresh northwesterly wind it will feel quite chilly. Across eastern areas through Tuesday, as the wind directions changed from today, it will feel a little bit warmer, but sunshine is going to be relatively limited. We'll see sunny spells, the odd shower here and there. The rain doesn't look particularly heavy through Tuesday, but I think most of us may get caught in the odd shower. So temperatures will climb closer to those mid-teens, a little bit closer to average for the time of year, but it will feel fresher than that in the northwest. This northwesterly wind continues into Wednesday as well. More in the way of showers to come on Wednesday. I think most of us will see some rain, some of that heavy through the day too. Very limited sunshine as well. So another cool day. Further showers to come on Thursday. Then Friday does look a little bit brighter, but still on the cold side for this time of year. Bye-bye.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Are you dreaming of a ton of tax-free cash this summer? We want to make that dream come true with a stunning £76,543 and 21 pence in cash to spend however you like. Put a new car on the drive or just relax in the knowledge that this year we've got your back. For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you. Bulletins on GB News,
the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, welcome along for Late Edition. This is the most consequential set of newspaper front pages in modern times, breaking right now.
The election results last week were tough, and I take responsibility.
Can the PM really cling on? Tomorrow's Independent, a left-wing newspaper, streeting poised for leadership bid, but the PM vows to fight on. And there's a lot of noise coming out of Downing Street about this tonight, which is the Prime Minister's utter delusion. Apparently clinging on like the kind of last days of the Führer's bunker, and
No doubt the voters have sent us a clear message. I'm very proud of this team. I'm very proud of our leader. I'm very proud to be part of the team here. This is how Labour wins. As Labour, as a team. That's what the Prime Minister will be setting out, I'm sure, on Monday, and he'll have my support.
Well, if you believe that, you'll believe anything. Who will wield the knife? Reports suggest that Wes Streeting is waiting in the wings, but also it looks as though several different members of his cabinet have been in to see him today to tell him that the game's up.
And I take responsibility for not walking away, not plunging our country into chaos as the Tories did time and again, chaos that did lasting damage to this country. A Labour government would never be forgiven for inflicting that on our country again.
It looks as though he's lost the cabinet big hitters. Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary, David Lammy, Deputy Prime Minister, Justice Minister, Yvette Cooper, the Foreign Secretary, John Healey, Defence Secretary, are reportedly all telling him to go this evening. But still, Sir Keir Starmer is refusing to resign. And I tell you what, it's a good day for Zach Polanski's trying to bury some bad news, isn't it?
Listen, baby, ain't no mountain high, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough, baby.
There was almost no way of telling that bloke might have been a charlatan. Zach Polanski has tonight admitted that he failed to pay the correct council tax whilst living on a houseboat in London. We'll add that to the list of not working for the British Red Cross, not really working for the Ministry of Justice, not having a real name. I mean, it goes on and on and on with Zach Polanski, doesn't it? So there you go. He's admitted tonight to not paying the correct council tax. Remarkable, really, isn't it? Well, we've got a stellar lineup joining us this evening. We have got comedian GB News host Josh Howie. We've got the Adam Smith Institute's Joanna Marchong, and we've also got broadcaster Benjamin Butterworth. So much to get stuck into. Will the Prime Minister have gone by the time Bethany Elsey does her bulletins?